Okay, so we've got an update on James Bradberry, with one team jumping to the forefront as a potential trade partner, plus more leaks about the Giants' handling of Saquon Barkley and why he's going to make him pay in Philly. Also, Jalen Hurts has a clear path to doing something that hasn't been done in 63 years, and it's all thanks to Kellen Moore's changes on offense, or mostly. So let's break down why it'll be so different, who benefits the most, and how the playmakers are going to be used. But first, let's run it. What's up, guys? Do me a favor and hit that like button, because if we can get to 2,000 likes on this video, I'm going to give away a Saquon Barkley jersey on my next Friday night live stream. Like, this dude's going to be a beast, or yeah, just more than he's already been in this Eagles offense. Which is why ESPN polled various executives, coaches, and scouts to rank the top NFL runners as Saquon Barkley finished number 4 on the list. With one AFC scout saying the weapons around him on the outside, a dual-threat quarterback, shotgun runs, and his versatility are a perfect fit. Exactly, and the relationship's reciprocal because there's no doubt he's going to make life a whole lot easier on Jalen Hurts. After all, when Saquon was on the field, Daniel Jones' touchdown to interception ratio was a 2.3 compared to just 0.8 when Barkley wasn't on the field. For reference, that's basically turning DJ into an above-average quarterback in the NFL. So yeah, the fact that the 27-year-old running back could do that is probably part of the reason the Giants came out with their top 100 players of all time, with Barkley making the list at 95. Except, although probably unintentional, the timing of all this feels like a bit of a slap in the face to GM Joe Schoen.
Saquon.
Yeah, what's up?
You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm chilling. Just chilling with the fam.
You in Jersey right now?
Yeah, I'm in Jersey right now.
Yeah. How's the off season been? You doing anything?
Yeah, I've been good. Traveled a little bit, but just trying to get back into the grind of off-season treatments.
Yeah. All right. So I just talked to Ed Barry, and I think just mulling over this, the right thing to do is let you test the market and see what your value is. I don't want to do the franchise thing or all that stuff again. I don't want to go through that. We've both been through that. You know, if you really want to be a Giant for life and you're interested in staying here and coming back, just see what your market is and then have Ed come back to us, and we'll see if we can come to an agreement.
All right, I appreciate that.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Can you give me your word on that, or you're not going to give us a chance?
What do you mean? Like circling back?
Yeah.
I mean, I already told you that where I want to be, so. Okay.
All right, well, let's do that. We'll go out and see what the market says. I think it's the right thing to do. I love you, man. I appreciate everything you did for the organization, you know, the 2 years I was here, and I'm not saying we're not going to get something done, but I think it's right if for some reason it doesn't work out, that you know that the organization thinks the world of you and everything you've done. But hopefully, you know, you go out there, you see the market, and you say, you know what, I want to be here, and you give us a shout back.
All right, I appreciate you.
All right, Saquon, I'll talk to you.
It's almost as if Shane didn't believe Saquon meant what he said whenever he brought up the contract situation multiple times.
I thought you were kidding! I thought it was a joke! I even wrote it down in my diary!
You know, the other part that's really telling about this whole relationship is the fact that Shane had to ask Saquon for his trust. I mean, that's really telling you everything you need to know.
Can I trust you? Yes, of course you can trust me. To a point, yes.
Let's just say, thankfully, Saquon's in Philly, where he's appreciated and paid like it. Although given the awkwardness of the Giants' approach, it's fair to wonder who the offensive coach was that told Jeremy Fowler, yeah, he's probably not as fast as he used to be, and that he sometimes tries to make people miss too much, and essentially isn't all that he's cracked up to be. Hold up, I get the fact that trying to do too much sometimes can cost you, but this is, remember, the Giants' top 100, number 95 of all-time player, and let's not act like Saquon didn't regularly have someone in the backfield really quickly when he was getting handoffs. Plus, if Lane Johnson's impressed with the Eagles' new running back, then that's enough for me. With Paid the Lane saying during an interview with SiriusXM that Saquon's skill set is going to make the O-line look a lot better than what they might be. Saying, I've never seen a guy weigh 235 being able to split out wide and pretty much be able to outrun anybody on the field and do things at receiver. Obviously, when you look at him, ultra talented, but extremely personable, great teammate, and a hard worker. Oh yeah, Lane also said that he knows Barkley's excited about the new change in his career and that he's one of those guys that doesn't come around too often. Again, there's really no other way to put it, but those offensive weapons are flat out insane. Just like the Eagles having the third most clutch quarterback in the league according to CBS Sports, with Douglas Clawson reminding that despite the historic collapse last season, and sure, not the best play from Hurts overall, Jalen was phenomenal in the clutch. For real, dude had 6 touchdowns and 0 turnovers on potential game-tying or go-ahead drives in the fourth quarter and overtime through 12 weeks last year. But yes, late in the season, things went awry and it could have been better. However, we've seen QB1 no doubt has that clutch gene. By the way, in case you were curious, the only other 2 quarterbacks ahead of Jalen in the clutch category were CJ Stroud and Patrick Mahomes. Although speaking of QB rankings, Ed Cracks wonders if Hurts can finally break the Philly drought for MVP award. For the record, Norm Van Brocklin won the award in 1960 and no other player's done it since. Obviously, Hurts got close in 2022 when he finished as the runner-up to Patrick Mahomes thanks to 39 total touchdowns and a 14-3 record. However, it's understandable that Mahomes edged him out since, to his credit, Mahomes finished with 5,250 yards and 41 touchdown passes. And then there was Michael Vick, who had a career year in 2010, accounting for nearly 4,000 yards along with 30 touchdowns and just 6 interceptions, but just wasn't enough to overtake Tom Brady for the award. Go back a little further, and Donovan McNabb barely missed out in 2000, with Rams' Marshall Faulk having a season over 2,000 scrimmage yards along with 81 catches and 26 total touchdowns. Of course, the biggest opportunities and maybe slights were Randall Cunningham, since in 1990 he lost out to Joe Montana, with Montana throwing for 3,944 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. Meanwhile, Cunningham had just over 3,400 yards passing with 30 touchdown passes and 13 interceptions. Oh yeah, Randall added another 942 rushing yards and 5 more scores. Or prior to that, in 1988, he finished second to Boomer Esiason despite Boomer throwing for 284 fewer yards than Cunningham. Granted, as Cracks pointed out, Boomer had more touchdown passes, 28 to 24, but Cunningham had 6 more rushing touchdowns along with an additional 624 yards on the ground. Anyway, I'm biased because I probably would have voted all these Eagles ahead in terms of the MVP award, but in all seriousness though, do you think Jalen has a legit shot at winning MVP? I mean, I think it's fair to say that not only does he have the clutch gene, but he's also proven to be able to make things happen out of basically nothing. Like, come on, we saw all too often Jalen have to turn something out of nothing last year. And granted, it worked at times, but that's not a consistent recipe for success. However, the good news, as we clearly all know at this point, is that Kellen Moore is taking the reins of the offense, with multiple reports of more motion and looks under center and everything else that the offense wasn't last year. Again, you're probably pretty familiar with this, but just another reminder that what Kellen Moore is implementing will be drastically different.
We're still trying to manipulate and challenge the defense. Okay, so let's use a motion. Okay, now Bobby Wagner, KJ Wright, they're got okay, fit just changed, right? Okay, they got to adjust. Okay, now we're going to Z-flock it. Okay, great example. What's this nickel doing? He's challenged, right? This is a never-ending challenge, okay? Do I travel with the motion? Do I not? He kind of gets stuck in between. He's not really sure what to do. Okay, they're one short. And we throw the deep over. Okay, and the second level, the backer level is a little bit compromised, right? Okay, they didn't handle the motion. We throw it to a Boise State Bronco. Get a touchdown. Off the same presentation, basically. We're going to Y hustle, force the defense to bump. Now we're going to flock. Okay, obviously run times have to be adjusted there. We loop out. Okay, now what do they got? They got a nickel and a backer, both taking the flat. Okay, here comes the late chief route, becoming a late outlet here. So again, as you watch it here, right? Hey, we're in standard huddle, but let's still challenge the defense. Force them to communicate, force them to be on the same page, trust their eyes, get them in the right spot. Now we're going to run the same exact play. Y hustle. They're in man now. Everyone's covered, awesome. They lost the quarterback. Okay, Dak runs it in for a touchdown. Here's a little run play off the same presentation. So we Y hustled. Now we're going to flock it, but this time we're going to hand the ball off. Now what happened to those backers? They've been seeing all that action game, right? And so they're a little bit passive, right? Look at 42. Do we have any chance at getting to 42 at the right tackle position, in all honesty? Probably going to be pretty hard, right? But all the other components associated with these plays makes them hesitate for a little bit. Okay, because we got a strong side run, we got a loop pass, we got an action game that he's got to worry about. Now we hand off to Tony Pollard out in space. The perfect play, no. But the backer has to hesitate. Okay, gives us that extra advantage here, Tony. Then Tony does his job, right? He takes care of business. Obviously, he's a phenomenal player out in space. So let's get him out in space. He gets you an easy first down right there. Okay, so that's all in just simple standard huddle right here. Okay, when we're in standard huddle, how can we still compromise and challenge the defense?
That's really what it comes down to, challenging the defense and, making life easier for Jalen Hurts. Plus, going back to that jet sweep concept, shout out to Nick Waters, who brought up a good point, saying, imagine this play with either Parris Campbell, John Ross, or Ainias Smith speed. I mean, the options are limitless, because like I mentioned earlier, the defense is going to be keying off of Saquon, especially with Kellen Moore's designs in the run game. But then throw in some motion and trickery, and then there's just so many places to go with the ball. Now, obviously, Moore likes to stretch the field when he can, and Jalen's proven to be able to throw the deep ball. However, the area that's going to help the most is with blitz beaters, because time and time again, you can see the QB just take what the defense gives them and capitalize on open space. Or if you just want to take advantage of the team's over pursuit, then how about dump a screen off to Saquon? Like, I'm sorry, but I can't help but get excited about the endless possibilities with this offense, and especially with these playmakers. Oh yeah, add on top of that, since you already know by now, but the Chargers ranked 8th in motion last season while the Eagles were dead last. And if that's not crazy, then take it a step further, but Keenan Allen by himself was used on 29% of all snaps in 2023, which is more than the entire Eagles team combined. And then also compare that to Devonta Smith, who had just 3.2% motion pre-snap, and that's a ridiculous discrepancy. Come on, it's just a given at this point. This offense is going to be a ton more creative and also not rely on A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith to just consistently beat their players one-on-one. Also, the more film that I watch of Kellen Moore, the best way that I can describe it is just efficient and simple and really just making life easy for everyone. Yet let's be real, he's not afraid to try a little trickery.
I about fell out of my chair the first time I watched this play. We're just going to run it here. We motion the tight end into the backfield, so it's kind of like an offset I formation at this point, and it's going to be a handoff that's a flea flicker that's then a tight end screen. And Josh, I just got to ask you, it's been said there's a fine line between genius and insanity. Is Kellen Moore flying too close to the sun here? Like, do we need a flea flicker into a tight end screen? Like, is that genius? Is that insane? I don't know what to make of this play.
I would be okay if the Eagles don't run this play, especially seeing it. I know hindsight's 20/20 and everything else, but like the defense, they played it fairly well. I don't know if it was a last minute, he's getting it, and all of a sudden you had an option in case the safety came down. You could throw it over the top, but you have your tight end there. He kind of makes a man miss. You do pick up the first down. It could have very easily resulted in no yardage at all. So that one for me, yes, to your point of the insanity, I'm okay if we don't want to run those, because as I was even watching, I'm like, oh my gosh, this could go bad in so many different ways. I mean, if the running back fumbles a snap, the toss back, the defense is back there pretty quick as it is already. So, I mean, Justin Herbert's got to go with a sidearm angle to even deliver that to the tight end in the first place. So, I mean, this one, cool. It's a cool play design. It's a fun one to watch. But honestly, I mean, without a player making a guy miss there, it's resulting in no yards at all. And it seems like a whole lot of risk for not a whole lot of gain.
I mean, when I watched this play the first time, my first thought was, whoa, that's really cool. And then my second thought is, that's really dumb. Maybe, question mark? I didn't even know. Johnny, what's your take on this play?
Yeah, well, this was the one when you told me about and you said, just wait till halfway through the drive. I think the thing that surprises more than anything is that this feels completely unnecessary. They've been moving the ball really easily. Quick games worked fine. Running games actually getting going. So it feels like I guess, and it tells us something a little bit about Kellen Moore. And again, this is something we've said before, Shane. He's more willing to try a little bit of trickery than the Eagles have been of late. You will see a few more. I mean, whether this is a trick play or not, but you will see more plays like this.
Okay, maybe that's taking it a bit too far, but still, it's at least a breath of fresh air to see the uniqueness. Also, shout out to Shane and Johnny for having me on the Shane page, and make sure to go check him out and sub if you haven't already. I've got a link in the description, by the way. Anyway, having gone over Kellen's schemes and tendencies and help for Jalen, what does Kellen Moore have to do for the offense for him to be successful? All right, flipping over to the defense real quick, Ed Cracks brought up an interesting note on the whole James Bradberry situation. After Steelers cornerback Cam Sutton was suspended for 8 games for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy. Of course, the 7-year vet primarily plays the slot, so maybe not an apples-to-apples trade-off. However, the fact that Pittsburgh has Josiah Scott and Graylin Arnold as the current replacements might result in some interest for the Eagles' corner. Yet sure, JB didn't really do great in the slot last year, or really a lot of the other positions for that matter. At the same time, if the team looks at him being a former All-Pro and realizing the lack of coaching prowess he had to deal with, then perhaps Pittsburgh is willing to trade a draft pick for him. But I don't know. Either way, the ridiculous depth and talent Philly has at corner has already put the writing on the wall. And there's just no way JB's actually a solid option at safety. But who knows? I guess we're about to see, because training camp's coming up. But let me know what you guys think about this. Also, make sure to like and subscribe, because we've got some player interviews coming soon. Until next time, this has been the Philly Special.